Good afternoon. This is the Bar Torah on Parshas Bamidbar, which is the first parsha in the fourth book of the Torah, and it also gives its name to the whole Sefer Bamidbar, which literally means in the desert. Wilderness. And the parsha consists largely in the beginning of the second year, after approximately a year after the Jewish people received the Torah at Mount Sinai from God, and were learning the Torah subsequently to them. And it, first of all, gives a census of all the tribes except the Levium, the tribe of Levi, and all men 20 years and older, which will explain in more detail, meant all military age men. It then goes on to describe the four camps of the people, each of which consists of three tribes, and they form, in effect, a square around the center, which is the Mishkan, sanctuary. And encamped there were the different families of the Levium, which was to stop people who weren't Levium or Kohanim to go near the Mishkan, because it could have, if they had touched it or gotten too close to it, it could result in their death by spiritual means. After that recount, the parsha then goes on to describe the duties of the various Levium, and then taking of the census of Levium and what their duties will be in the desert. Now, as the original plan was supposed to go, this would have been the beginning of Jewish entry into Eretz Israel. As I'll explain in more detail, there were certain preparations that needed to be made. And if we hadn't, in a few more parshas, asked the spies to spy out the land, and then to believe the slander of the 10 of the 12 spies, which led to that generation that had gotten out of Egypt to die in the desert, and only their children entered Eretz Israel 40 years later. This would have been the completion of the journey of the Jewish people, and probably would have led to the ultimate redemption if they hadn't made such a mistake. Now, what I'd like to focus on in this Bar Torah are a couple of things. At the beginning of the parsha, it says, "V'diber Adonai el Moshe midbar Sinai, v'ol moed echad lechodesh shnei shanav shenis letzei sam meretz Mitzrayim lemor." And it says, "And Hashem spoke to the Moshe in the wilderness of the desert in the tent meeting, fourth day of the second month, and the second year after the exodus from Egypt, saying, Show at Rosh Kol Edus B'nei Israel Mishpatem, L'beis Avosam, Mispar Shemos, Kol Zachar V'Gugal Sam, Ben Esrim Shana V'Ma'alia Kol Yetzei Sava Israel, B'Tivikudu Osam, Savam Ata and Aaron. You should take a census of the entire Jewish people according to the family, according to their fathers' names, also by the names of their names, every male according to the head count. For 20 years of age and up, everyone who goes out to Legion Israel, you should count them according to the legions, you and Aaron. And then it goes on to list which will be the leader of each tribe to do this. Now, on the surface, this seems fairly taking a census. On one level, it seems fairly prosaic, not prosaic, but basic, really elementary. But if one looks a little deeper into what is being espoused here, one can see that there is, in effect, many deeper things going on here, of which I'll touch on a few now. One of which is, I'd like to look at those verses. It talks about from Ben Esrim, Shana, and upwards. Now, as the Ramchal explains, there is, what were the men supposed to be doing at this time? Age 20 and up, the ones who are going to be serving in the military, was to prepare themselves for war. Now, when one thinks of preparing themselves for war in modern day, talks about, getting all the troops there, making sure there's enough oil and the other reserves, fuel for the tanks and other motorized vehicle, a battle plan, etc. However, in the time of there, it was a preparation, but it was a spiritual preparation that would allow them to defeat their enemies once they ended Eretz Israel. Now, there was a battle going on even before there was any enemies. What was that battle? That battle was against the Sitra Achra, the evil inclination that every person has. Because if they could defeat that their enemies once they entered Eretz Israel would be powerless against them. And why did it have to be there? Because the Midbar, the wilderness, the desert, is a place of the evil inclination, and therefore it had to be done in the desert. And it wasn't just a preparation by the people themselves. It was also a preparation Hashem was also preparing them for it. Now, what name are we talking about of God? We're talking about the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. That's the name that represents chesed, kindness, and also helps protect the people. And the letters Yud-Kei Vav-Kei can come in 12 combinations. And since there were 12 tribes that were going to war, each one of those names, which represents different qualities of Hashem, which reflected each one of the tribes, was going to be the protection of the people, the men when they went into battle, and also now to help them eliminate the Yetzer Hara. And only from 20 did they have the complete skills and maturity they needed to go into war. Also, they got a special co-op power from the name of Hashem that he transmitted to them. And even more so, when you added Aaron and Moshe, who were even at a higher level, that equaled 14. But anyway, this is the whole scheme of the 12 tribes. And so therefore, this wasn't just random assembling of people. It had a deeper purpose. Now, the second theme I would like to go on to now is in the second chapter. Now Hashem has taken the census and prepared the tribes for what they're going to be facing But it goes beyond that. And says at the beginning of the second chapter, plus the colorful base, Moshe, speak to Moshe and Aaron, saying, Ish al diglo achas lebase avosam yechenu bnei Israel ikeneged saviv laoel moed yanachanu. And it translates: the children of Israel shall each encamp, each man by his banner, according to the insignia of his father's household, at a distance surrounding the tent of meeting shall they encamp. That's the sanctuary where Hashem's presence dwelled. And it then describes which one of the four tribes, three tribes each, are going to be in which direction. There's obviously east, west, north, and south, with the sanctuary in the middle. Now, the Chumash goes to great trouble, Torah, to illuminate, to illustrate that, selecting the number of population, and again seems very technical, but there are some deeper meanings to it. First of all, the insignias themselves, each banner, but it's three tribes, were very interesting. They had pictures of animals. One is not pictures of animals, and the four. And this is the Ramban. This is on a commentary of the Ramban, Nachmanides on this Parsha. And the first one I'm going to be quoting is that of the Ketzer Shem Tov, as it's known, the Parish, which is Rabbi Shem Tov Eben Gaon. And he explains what are the four. The four emblems he shows are the ones that, in fact, are the same images that appear on the and you have Makava of Yeheskel, and in addition, those were the four images that appeared on the Makava in the famous commentary of Yeheskel, Navi Yeheskel, when he has an image that reflects that, and the four images that appeared on Makava, the chariot, was known as the chariot of fire, that were as follows. One of them was the face of a man, the face of a lion, the face of an ox, and the face of an eagle. Now, each one of those symbols was on the one of each was on the flags of the each of the camps. So there is a deeper significance here. Now, in the image of Yehezkel, details of which are beyond the scope of this Torah, explains that they reflect Hashem's guidance of the world, with his throne being supported by these different angels with these different faces, throne of Hashem. Now, that is reflective of that, therefore, we're having here on our world is a continuation of that, and shows the four camps, and shows that Hashem is guiding all of us, and that's one idea. Now, a second idea that is espoused here, that there is more going on, that these camps represent something additional, and they also represent the four directions, which also represent the three Avot and David HaMelech. And in addition, the Shekhinah is present. The Shekhinah is present, and Hashem's divine presence. And these four camps are reflective of the camps that Hashem has in heaven, of angels, but they're also on the earth. So the angels, these angels are Hashem's agents. These angels are his assistants in protecting us. And the four of them, now in the, you first have the camp of the Michael. That's the right of the Shekhinah being in the Mishkan, Hashem's divine image. And what does this angel represent? Chesed and Rachamim, kindness and mercy. And that's Keneged Ruvain, and that's the location of the south of the sanctuary. The second one, because there has to be a balance, is the Matan of Gabriel. It's this left of the Shekhinah, and this represents, he's the Malach of Din and Nechama, both, in other words, of strict justice, but also of comfort. And that's Keneged Dan. It stands in the north. Now the third one, third camp, is the Makana of Raphael, who's behind the Shekhinah, and he's the angel of health and refuah, Keneged Ephraim, and it's located in the west. And finally, there's the Matana of Makana of Uriel, who's before the Shekhinah, and that's the Malach of Koach, Gevurah, Koach, meaning power, divine power, that he's helping them with Hashem through his angel, and Gevurah, which means strictness, not din, not judgment, but the strictness, and that's the camp in the east. Now, embraced in the middle, the actual sanctuary, represents, this is equivalent to the, as I said, the four angels in Makaba, because his lower camp. His fourth one is the Shekhinah, that's way above, the Hashem that's way above in his throne in heaven, and Ma'aliyah, and this is his says Blessed be his name, Kavod Malchutol Le'olam V'ed, that shall rule forever and ever. And this is the Shekhinah Token Matanot, that's within the middle. This is the commentary, by the way, of plain Rambam Morisanayim, which was Rabbi Yitzhak Daman Bacho, and what is teaching us that, like many things in the Chumash in the Bible, there's far more different levels, and that Hashem is guiding us both from the worlds above and in His presence in this world, which lasts to today, and that we should take inspiration from that. And as we're heading from Shavuos to Shavuos, we should increase our Torah study and realize all the things that Hashem has done for us and is continuing to do for us. And may everybody have a good Shabbos and Shabbat Shalom, as we're now in the final week before Shavuos of Matan Torah.